The Blackhawks lose 4-2 to the Winnipeg Jets at the United Center, but it looked kind of different. We'll talk about it next on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast. I'm Jay Zawoski with Mario Tirabassi. Greg Boysen is at the United Center and will join us shortly. Hawks lose 4-2 to the Winnipeg Jets. They give up their 13th empty net goal of the season. That is second most in the NHL.
It's a lot of empty net.
I'm sorry, it's their 12th. My bad. 12th empty netter against of the season.
Just wait till Monday.
Colorado leads with 13. I'm seeing it already. a lot of judgment being made on Anders Sorensen after one game. But I'll say this. I don't think a lot of people expected them to beat the Winnipeg Jets, implementing a new system with one practice up against one of the best teams in hockey.
Right.
And I think for 40 minutes, the Hawks kind of held their own. But in that third period, Winnipeg just put the foot on the gas, and they didn't have much of a chance at all. The third period was very, very lopsided. And when this team does not get power plays, which they're decent at, they scored on the power play today, It's hard for them to stay in games.
Yeah, I mean, the third period, that is the difference between a team at the top of the division and a team at the bottom of the division. Like that, that's where the talent gap was extremely evident tonight, and it's where it usually is evident for this Blackhawks group. Like they pushed hard early in the game, first two periods. To be in the position that they were in, like it was looking, a little optimistic, and then the Jets just have that extra gear that the Blackhawks don't, and with the new system, the new structure that I think Anders Sorensen wants to have moving forward is going to take time to implement. But I think for the most part, it's going to be effective when it's in a game where the Blackhawks actually have decent possession of the puck. And to expect that against the Winnipeg Jets for a full 60 minutes that's not realistic for this team.
Yeah, and it's the aggravating thing where once again they get the lead twice. They're up 1-0. They're up 2-1. They can't hold it. You lose your goalie after he stops 4 shots. Then Soderblom has to go in cold. You lose Alec Martinez halfway through the game, so you're down a defenseman, and he had actually been playing probably his best game of the year. Look, are we making excuses? Yes. Are the excuses somewhat valid? Yes. Are the Jets a significantly better team than the Blackhawks? Yes. So the fact that for the vast majority of that game, the Hawks were right in it I will call it a moral victory. And I know we don't love those, and I know no one wants to hear about those or talk about those, but some of the little things, especially early in this game, that we've all kind of been screaming for, and clearly the players have been wanting to, we saw a little more aggression on the forecheck, not so passive from the defenseman, not just immediately retreating into the defensive zone as soon as the puck's in the offensive zone. A little more aggression. There were several opportunities where a Hawks player would have the puck along the boards, and instead of one option for an outlet, he had 2 options for an outlet. Would make a clean outlet, and the puck would go the other way. It's those little things that over time, as this team adjusts to Sorensen's system, as they play lesser opponents, which, let's be honest, a lot of the NHL is lesser than the Jets, it's going to look better, and they're going to get some results. it was a season low in shots on goal for the Hawks this game. 14 shots on goal. They had 6 total in the last 2 periods.
Yeah, I mean, it's for it to be the first game under a new coach, and have it be against the Jets. Like, I think looking for anything else, any other kind of result than tonight would have been way too optimistic. But I mean, I think, like you said, like, it will take some time for things to kind of settle in with Sorensen and see what he wants to do. But for the most part, it just comes down to, this is the same team. Like, it's changed, but it's a coaching change. It's a head coaching change. The rest of the assistants are all the same.
Right.
All the players are the same. So I know you can change up the structure of how you want to play, and that can maybe yield some results soon. After you have a few games to implement it and you get used to it with this group, but you still have a lot of guys tonight. It was the same kind of performances, and it's not going to be an immediate change, an immediate turnaround, immediate results. I think the first 40 minutes was a good indicator that, like, there can be success found.
Yeah.
With this group in this system, but for the full game, they're still very far away.
All right, do us a favor. Please hit that like button for us. We would appreciate that. We got a lot of people watching. Thanks for being here. If it's your first time checking us out, please get in the habit of hitting that like button. And we're very happy to have you. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. I'm going to pre-apologize for my voice here. I'm at the end stages of a cold, and 3 podcasts in 24 hours over the last 2 days have wreaked havoc on my voice. So I'm working on it. I'm fighting through it. So apologies there. If you're listening on the podcast app, do us a favor and subscribe, follow, whatever your favorite podcast app calls for. We want to tell you about the 3 stars of the game. Number 3, Alex Vlasic with a goal. Number 2, Mark Scheifele, who you can pretty much pencil in for a goal every game against the Blackhawks. And number 1 star was Kyle Connor with 2 assists. So here are your nominees for the 4th star of the game. Get your votes in on our YouTube page. We'll reveal the winner at the end. Tyler Bertuzzi had a shot on goal and 4 shot attempts. Micro stats real good. Mm-hmm. You went over some of those before we went on the air, but just generating a lot. Was kind of a pain in the ass in front of the net, as he always is. There was a moment there where he was standing up for Connor Bedard, doing all of the Bertuzzi things you want to see him do. Arvid Soderblom comes in cold, stops 21 of 24 Jets shots, and Alec Martinez, who scored a goal, had a shot on goal, 3 more shot attempts, and 2 block shots, including 1 with his face. When Greg joins us, we'll have jaw. Yeah, it did not look good. We will have injury updates, hopefully, from Greg when he joins us in a little bit here. And it'll be curious to see, how does Sorensen handle injury news?
From talking with him in Rockford a few times, Greg's had experience with that too, as well. You're not going to get a lot of details. You're not. It's not necessary. He is not one to play doctor, so. Yeah, I don't expect to get too much information from him regarding injuries or anything like that, especially something that happens in game. I think with regards to Mrazek, we'll just have to see what's the prognosis tomorrow morning. I'm sure we'll get an email that'll give some sort of indication to it. If it's nothing, then he'll just go on the trip, on the road trip, and just maybe it was a tweak and it's better by tomorrow. I think that's best case scenario, but knowing his history with, some lower body issues, hoping for the best, hoping it's not a long-term thing. This is a time where you'd like to be able to lean on a guy like Laurent Brossoit, but he's also dealing with his own injury issues. So thankfully, Arvid Soderblom is playing well this season, so we'll have to see what happens with that. But maybe Drew Comezzo comes up. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think I don't think we're gonna get too much information on that tonight from Sorensen.
No, I wouldn't suspect so.
Knowing how his pregame presser and his press conference yesterday went, I think people are gonna need to who aren't familiar with him are going to realize quickly. He does not tell you anything he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And is not going to say much more than he feels he needs to.
Yeah. A lot of people in the chat talking about Kyle Davidson and how he's got to wear this team and some of his signings. And we were talking off the air before we started. He's not going to get fired. This is a guy who is leading a rebuild. The prospect system is very good, and that's just not us saying that. That's pretty much everyone whose job it is to evaluate prospect systems agree with that and say the Hawks are very, very loaded in their system. That's what is important during a rebuild. However, his free agent signings have not been good, and I don't know anyone. I actually found out on our Spotify Wrapped that our biggest show of the year was Free Agent Day when they signed Bertuzzi and Tavo and Martinez and Brossoit. Yeah. That was the most watched, viewed show we had or listened to, at least on Spotify. And I don't recall a single detractor about the Tavo Teravainen signing.
No, it made all the sense in the world at the time.
Yeah.
We'd been talking about it for a while, where, Tavo's contract was coming up. Carolina had some decisions to make, and it looked pretty easy, transition that he'd go from Carolina back to Chicago because Chicago needed a guy like him who wasn't, the top echelon of free agent, but was attainable and was a guy that's skill set pairs up well with Connor Bedard. And I would say that he's not that guy, but he's playing right now. So it's clear that he's very down. He's spoken about his confidence being low, and you can tell that he's definitely trying to do a lot to get out of it, but everything with him just seems like ineffective. Like it just doesn't work, and it's hard to get out of slumps like that. And when you're surrounded by a team that seems like everyone is kind of going through some slumps all at the same time, everyone's underperforming, it's hard to look around the room and point to a guy and say, well, you know what, I'm gonna follow his lead. He's gonna get us out of it, because everyone's down right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that while Tyler Bertuzzi's 5-on-5 production hasn't been good, I think for the most part he's doing what everyone expected him to do. He is a nuisance in front of the net. He plays that game, but again, he's not. A guy like Tyler Bertuzzi is going to be effective on a team that has the puck, because he is most effective when he's disturbing the goalie and stirring things up and bearing rebounds in close. And when the Hawks just never have the puck, 6 shots on goal in the last 40 minutes of this game, he's not going to have that maximum effectiveness. But I think otherwise, he's doing what you want. Pat Maroon at this age, fine. Craig Smith has been good. Martinez has been hurt, but when he's played, he's been okay.
Yeah, we got an update about Martinez.
Oh, go for it.
Just quick little information here from Ben Pope. Says Sorensen says Mrazek will be out a little bit, and Martinez is also going to miss some time.
Okay.
So there you go.
Well, okay. That's
Rockford
rough.
is playing tonight. They are playing the Springfield Thunderbirds, not the Falcons, as they pointed out to me, as I referred to them as the Falcons today.
Same thing.
Whoops. Oh, well. That's what happens when you only play a team once every 10 years. I think if you're going to be without Mrazek and you're going to be potentially out of Martinez, I think you're probably going to see Drew Comezzo up here. He's playing backup tonight, and you're probably going to see a defenseman come up, probably Isaac Phillips.
Isaac Phillips,
makes the easiest decision is Isaac Phillips, because it's a guy that we've seen before, a guy that's that 6th, 7th defenseman rotational guy. Maybe they surprise us and call up a guy like Korchinski or something like that, but I doubt it.
I wouldn't think so. Let's get into that coming up next, because it's gonna be something we need to watch. Make sure you hit that like button. If we have any super chats, we'll get to them next. But stay with us here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. And stressful, injury-filled losses, might make you want to choose chill while you're watching or after the game. And you know by now that when it is time to choose chill, make the choice to choose Coors Light. It is mountain cold refreshment. You know it is ice cold. It is delicious. It gets the job done. It is our go-to, not only when we're choosing chill, but all the time because it's frankly my favorite beer. So make the most out of the times that you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
And if you want to go see the Blackhawks in person, you can do it with our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get tickets to any event for your favorite team. And they have a great feature, which is called Game Time Picks, which makes getting tickets to all those events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so that you don't waste time searching through thousands of tickets that you don't want. Game Time Picks, its curation makes it easier to save on sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, any kind of theater events, anything you want to get tickets to. Game Time and Game Time Picks is going to help you out and make it easy for you. Other cool thing that Game Time has is their all-in pricing feature, which allows you to see your total up front even before you get to checkout, so you know that what you're seeing is what you're going to pay. No surprise fees, and you get the view from your seat, so you can take a look at what your seat is going to look like for the event that you're trying to go to before you buy it, so that make sure that you get the best sightline, the best views for whatever you're going to attend. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHGO. When you do that, you're going to get $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
Game time. Hooray.
All right, so as McLovin points out, there's a lot of revisionist history in the chat. If you could scroll up a little bit, Sarah, to Paul right there. Says, got to be honest, I don't need to see any more of Taylor Hall. He didn't seem happy to be here from day one. He was Kyle Davidson's replacement for Patrick Kane. Waive him or trade him for nothing. No, that would be horrible general managing to waive him or trade him for nothing. He was not Kyle Davidson's replacement for Patrick Kane. He was a part of a trade that you helped a team with some cap relief. You got Foligno and Hall for nothing.
For Ian Mitchell and Alec Regula.
Yes, to come here and play. Joe Cromwell in the chat said, what about Kyle Davidson's selection of captain? Nick Foligno is not having a great season. There were some defensive lapses from him recently. The third goal tonight, didn't like the way he played. It doesn't make him a poor captain. Also, we make way more of the captain than anyone else in the world. When the game is happening, no one cares who the captain is. It doesn't make a big difference.
Yeah, Nick Foligno is not doing anything different this year than he would have done last year. Maybe he's just a little bit more of the first guy to say things, but he's doing exactly what he did last year.
And I also want to, if we're talking about this offseason and what Kyle Davidson did, a lot of people wanted Steven Stamkos. How's that working out in Nashville?
It would have worked out better in Chicago.
Sure, maybe. Jake Gensel opted to go to Tampa Bay. If you listen to Elliot Friedman, he says the Hawks were very aggressive about bringing in Jake Gensel. Mm-hmm. But if you're Jake Gensel and you have no ties to Chicago and you're like,
Tampa or
Chicago,
yeah.
Of course you're going to Tampa.
Especially in the moment.
Yes. Yeah. Look, I know you guys are frustrated. Luke Richardson's gone, so you need another scapegoat. It is okay to say the players didn't perform well. It's okay. It's okay to say Teuvo Teravainen was a good signing. However, he's underachieving. Those two things can be correct at the same time. Do you think that this is what Teuvo Teravainen is going to look like for the next 3 years here?
I hope not.
No. He's going through a tough time right now, but the track record that Teuvo Teravainen has had from the day he was drafted to the day he was signed here is not erased by a bad 25-26 game performance. on one of the worst teams in hockey. Like, we can't just have this every game, every loss. Fire the GM. Waive this guy. It's all Seth Jones's fault somehow, even though he's not here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, guys, let's not ride the roller coaster like this. It is a rebuilding year. They are playing worse than we expected. So, because of that, the GM said, well, this is not good enough. I'm making a change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just going to sit here and let Luke Richardson play out the next 60-some games just because he's under contract. Something needs to change. The players clearly wanted to change. They made it, and now they play one of the best teams in hockey and lose, and everyone's like, fire Davidson. We are smarter than that as a fan base. This is an original six market. This is not Utah. This is not Arizona. This is not Atlanta, RIP. This is Chicago. Hockey fans here are smarter than this. And I know people don't like Kyle Davidson because he didn't play or whatever the reason might be. He's not grindy and tough and spitting into a microphone every time he's not slamming tables. He's a smart guy with a lot of experience, with a lot of guys that did play as his support staff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, settle down. If in 2 or 3 years, Nazar still hasn't made it, if Connor Bedard is still struggling to put together consistent efforts every game, if Ethan Del Mastro never comes up, if Kevin Korchinski sucks, if Lev Shanov's a bust, if like half those things happen, then we can start having serious conversations about Kyle Davidson's competence as a GM.
Yeah.
No one had any issue, aside from the TJ Brody signing, with anything he did this summer.
Yeah, I think if you were to go back and look at a lot of different outside perspectives of Chicago and the offseason that they had, it was for the most part positive reviews. I think if you were looking at letter grades, a lot of people were giving the Blackhawks B's, B pluses. Like, it wasn't a knock it out of the park kind of thing, but I think for the most part, people felt positive that what Kyle Davidson went out and did matched with what he was saying at the end of last season that he wanted to do, which was put together a team that coming into this season looked more competent and competitive than the previous two. And then everyone underperformed. And this was game 27. They've fired Luke Richardson after 26 games. An NHL season is 82 games long, so there are now 55 more games to be played this year where things will need to be evaluated. And we talked about it over the last 2 days of emergency podcasts and extra podcasts and everything, where you have a coaching change happen. You get one practice before an afternoon game.
Right. No morning skate.
So no morning skate. You go on the road. You're facing the Rangers, who they are a current mess. You're facing the Islanders. Like, that's a team that you should be competitive with. You're facing the Devils. That's going to be tough. All on the road. And then off of that Devils game, which is next Saturday, you come home and play on Sunday against the Islanders again. So you have a stretch of games here where you're playing 5 games in 8 days,
right,
including a back-to-back. 3 of those 5 are on the road. I think there's something to be said for let's give the coach firing some time to breathe as a change. So you give Anders Sorensen a little bit of time and this team a little bit of time to recalibrate after that. If we go through these 5 games and we get to that, I think it's on Sunday. Yeah, the Sunday afternoon game against the Islanders. And they're 0-4, and it looks all exactly the same. And no one is having any kind of breakthroughs under Sorensen. Then I think both we, as watchers of the Blackhawks, the fan base, and Kyle Davidson will all see that now player personnel changes are fully on the table.
Yeah.
Because then you're getting closer to the halfway point in the season. You'd have a small sample size, but 5 games under the new coach, under the new system and the new philosophies and everything. And if it's still the same junk that we've seen this team produce through the first 26 games, then I think there's no denying that, especially if guys in Rockford, the ones that have been, the notable young players that have been producing this year, Landon Slager, Colton Dock, Frank Nazar, if those guys continue over the next week to be on the trajectory and the path that they've been on this season, I think there's no denying that one of those 3 would be up here before the Winter Classic. But that's if things over these 5 games look exactly the same as they have been.
Well,
and tonight,
yeah,
for a portion of tonight, it looked a little different. Yeah, the 2 goals of the game were scored by defensemen, and I know one was on the power play, but the Alec Martinez goal, that's him jumping into the play and having a really nice shot, and it beats Hellebuck. So there were a number of times where the defensemen were more active in keeping the puck in the offensive zone. It was on the forwards to actually do something with it when they got there, but it was more active. And what we heard from Anders Sorensen yesterday was that he wanted higher pace, higher tempo. You needed the forwards to go in deeper and harder on the forecheck. You wanted the defensemen to be more active and taking chances to pinch more, and they did that. So give it some time with these new responsibilities and let it play out from there. And if it's still all the same, I would imagine player personnel changes are on the board, on the table for Kyle Davidson. And then if player personnel changes are made, coaching change has been made, and it's still junk through the end of the year, then the end of the season press conference needs to be very, and that's on our job too, because we're there able to ask questions and everything, needs to be very pointed at, everyone understands it's a rebuild prospect system. Great. What are you doing at the NHL level? Because that is the most important thing for Connor Bedard. And if Kyle Davidson fumbles Connor Bedard's development, fired. You can't have that happen. So what you do at the NHL level is very important to Connor Bedard's development, and that's at this stage of this season, that's the most important thing for the next 55 games.
Yes. All right, we have Anders Sorensen ready to go before Greg joins us. Can we get that in before the break? I know it's pretty short here, Sarah. All right, here is Anders Sorensen, courtesy of Greg's phone.
Is there an update on Peter Mrazek, on how he's doing?
Yeah, he'll be out for a little bit, lower body there.
What about Alec Martinez?
He's getting evaluated right now. Okay. Just want to make sure, but miss some time, but we'll see. We'll make sure he's good.
It's tough to lose anybody, but Mrazek's been such a backbone for this group, and just how tough to see him have to pull himself out in first period like that.
Yeah, obviously not the optimal way to start the game, right? But I thought Sodi came in and played well, but obviously with Peter has been such a big part of what's been going on here, so hopefully it's not too long.
With Martinez, so he will miss time, or?
He's getting evaluated right now, but yeah.
Okay. You think he will? Okay, yeah.
What, with the shot total, was it something that they were doing to keep you guys from getting more shots on that, especially from your forwards?
Yeah, that was a big part of it, right? I thought they hemmed us in because they were a lot of shots and recovering a lot of pucks, and we got kind of back on our heels a little bit, and we have to turn around and try to find pucks constantly. It's a tough way to play.
You moved to a 2-on-2 forecheck, it looked like. What's the reasoning behind that, and how do you think it looked?
I didn't think it was bad. I thought the start, right? We wanted to get our forwards skating a little bit more, especially coming out of our zone, so we can kind of get on our horse a little bit and pressure on the puck a little bit more. And there was times where it looked good, but it's new, so it's a little bit of a process, right? But there was definitely some good moments in that, and some moments we got to clean up.
Bedard had 2 shot attempts and none on net. How, I guess from your first game watching up close, how can you get him going a little more?
Yeah, I mean, I think just encourage him to find those areas where he can get a shot off and utilize his shot, right? And playing that quicker give and go game so he gets to those spots. It's a big part of it. And I think there was a moments there where you start seeing it today and then didn't flourish, unfortunately, but we'll keep working with it.
Just what were your emotions today and how you went about this opportunity in your first game? Your nerves? What was the energy like for you?
Yeah, I think the energy was good, right? And there was some nerves, but good nervous energy, right? But I think the guys did a great job of just bringing me in, and the staff was great. So it wasn't too bad, but it was exciting at the same time, but not the result that we wanted, right? So that's the biggest thing, right?
I mean, only 14 shots on goal. Yeah. What moving forward do you think could help generate some more offense?
Yeah, the transition game has to be better. We have to, come out of our D zone quicker, right? And that starts with we got to be able to kill plays defensively and make sure that out of those plays we have good routes so we can transition the puck quicker and not get stuck in our own zone. That's a big part of it.
With Martinez's goal, is that, I guess, you want to see the defense be engaged and help guys?
Yeah. We had some moments of that too. I thought there was one later on with Lass and a couple of D. We want to get our D up the rush. That's the way to play today. I think you need 4 men in the rush a lot, and that second layer is hard to defend at times. So that's a big, it's going to be a big focus for us here.
There is Anders Sorensen after the game today. It's not super clear on Martinez.
He's being evaluated.
Yeah,
and
it was asked so you think he's going to miss time? And he's like, it didn't really acknowledge it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to finish, or no, he didn't finish the game. Yeah, I mean, when you get a puck like that off a deflected shot right in the jaw, it's a tough spot to take a
suck it up, Mario said.
That's a tough spot to take. So we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, it's going to be if he's out again, that's going to be tough because if you're down Martinez and Seth Jones at the same time, that's rough. That's rough.
All right, we got to hit the break zone. Do us a favor if you've not done it yet, please hit that like button for us. Greg Boysen is going to join us on the other side of this break. But I know if I took a puck in the jaw, I'd probably stop at my neighborhood Sunnyside just to ease his pain. Ooh. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors, from noobs to veterans, can explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality cannabis products. Let me recommend to you my favorites. The good news, they've got the Island Vibes vape. The Tea Time vape is outstanding. And every night, pretty much, I rely on half of a Counting Sheep gummy to let me sleep through the night and wake up refreshed. They are wonderful. I love them. And then those Mindy's edibles, oh my. It's like taking a warm bath without getting in a tub. It is wonderful. So go check out those brands and more at Sunnyside. Go to sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off, 50% of your first 3 online purchases. Ooh, enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day. Only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders.
Hey, if you watch the game tonight, you watch it on CHSN, the Chicago Sports Network, the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games every year across the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and features a full lineup of original Chicago-focused content. At CHSN, they are Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core, bringing it to every corner of Chicago across our 77 wonderful neighborhoods and beyond. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. Visit chsn.com for more info on how to watch Bulls, Hawks, and Sox games all season long. CHSN, users of CHGO tweets.
They did. They used our tweet tonight.
I'm sure it confused no one.
No one was confused. Not at all.
Yeah.
All right, let's go out to the United Center and welcome in our buddy, Greg Boysen. Greg, we just played Anders Sorensen's post-game presser. Did you leave there a little bit mixed up on whether or not Martinez was going to miss time or not?
You're muted, buddy.
You're muted there, Grandpa. Nope, you're still muted.
Hello, Greg. Oh boy.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Can't hear you. Sorry.
Old man versus technology happening live on CHGO.
Oh boy.
All right, we'll reconnect with Greg here in a minute.
Retry that in a second.
I want to address too some conversation that that Kyle Davidson should have drafted Michkov instead. This might be my new favorite thing. Michkov, who only wanted to go to Philly and wasn't a certainty. There he is.
Hey.
I hear him.
All right. I don't know what that was.
There you
Everything
go.
was on my end.
Yes.
Nice. All right.
Did you hear that one? That the Hawks should have drafted Michkov instead of Bedard? That's what's happening in the chat today.
Outside of our lovely diehards and our regulars, the chat is pretty stupid. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, I asked you about Alec Martinez's injury. What did you respond?
Yeah. At first, I don't know. I have no idea. I think he was like he's going to get evaluated, but might miss some time, and then was kind of asked and didn't really give an answer. So, I would at this point I would say don't count on him for being in that first game on Monday against the Rangers. If he needs some dental work, might be a little sore there. I'm not sure, but it was a scary looking situation to take a puck to the face from 2 feet away is never a good thing. So hopefully he'll be all right. It's been a tough year for him. He gets the goal and then, then gets a puck in the face. Bad injury day for the Blackhawks today between him and Mrazek, 2 guys this team cannot afford to lose for a long period of time. But as you heard from Anders, you can it sounds like Peter Mrazek's going to be out for a little while.
That's rough. He was playing well this year. And he had a long stretch of like good health, which was the knock on him for a long time is that, he'd be good when he was healthy, but he wouldn't be healthy long enough to really take advantage of it. But that stinks. Arvid Soderblom playing well. He comes in cold to the game, but from what you heard from the players in the locker room today, and I saw the videos you talked to Nick Foligno and Jason Dickinson. What was the vibe on the first game on Anders since I'm Team Anders? What was the vibe for the first game under his system and style of play?
Yeah, I mean, both veteran guys. So, I mean, I don't know how much you guys talked about it, but Anders is trying to put in a 2-1-2 forecheck system, which is different from Luke, who ran a 1-2-2 forecheck. The idea with the 2-1-2 is to get your outside forwards more speed up the ice, getting into the corners, pressuring the defenseman on the forecheck, forcing them to try to pass the puck out of the zone through the middle of the ice where your third forward is waiting for it. You never want to try and clear the zone from the middle of the ice, but this is trying to get, that's the idea behind it. In order for you to actually use it, you have to have the puck, which the Blackhawks did not have at all today. But they both seem to like it. Foligno said it's going to take a little while, some more practices, a couple more games to kind of learn the reads off of that. When you've been playing one way for a full season and then you change it, guys might be in different spots than you're expecting them to be. So it's going to take a day, a few days to get used to that and play off of it. But they both seem, excited to try something different. This is definitely something that's geared towards trying to produce more offense. Whereas the old system was, we're going to try and just give up no goals every game and hope one goal is enough to win. Now it's like, screw it. If we lose 5-3, at least we had 3 goals.
Yeah, I wouldn't at this point of the season. I'm not going to hate that idea of trying to jumpstart the offense, and I think a lot of that comes down to trying to jumpstart Connor Bedard. In this first game, Connor really wasn't that much of a threat. The whole line with him, Kurashev, and Teravainen wasn't much of a threat. what did you hear from? Well, I guess we listened to Anders, but I mean, what was your take on it, Greg? From how we heard from Anders about wanting to get Connor playing in motion with the puck. What was your take on how that played out tonight?
Well, when you put Connor Bedard with two guys who have been pretty much ineffective all season, and then that line is ineffective, you can't be surprised. But I think, as when we talked to Petey earlier this week, Steve Peters, he says, I think they're just going to put Teravainen with Bedard and let him play his way through whatever the heck is going on with him, and you just have to deal with it. Teravainen was brought here to be Bedard's winger, so just let him be that and see if he plays himself out of this funk. Kurashev had some moments today. That line had some moments where you could see the new system in effect with Bedard and Kurashev going up the boards trying to get the puck. But again, they never had the puck. They were in the defensive zone all game long, and you just can't continue to play defense for 51 minutes a night and hope to win many games. It's just not going to happen. You can put on all the fancy offensive systems you want, but if you don't have the puck, it's not going to do you any good. And you saw a little bit from Bedard on that play that ended up being the empty net goal. He makes a nice little move at the blue line to get in, playing with speed through the neutral zone. I think that's the idea. And he makes the great zone entry, passes it to Tyler Bertuzzi at the top of the left circle. And what does Tyler Bertuzzi does? Wrap it around the boards to nobody, and it's an empty net goal 3 seconds later.
You know what? I'm not going to let that Bertuzzi slander stand. He rung it around the net, and Taylor Hall was right there, and Ryan Donato was right there, and they both effing missed it. Taylor Hall was alone behind the net, and Bertuzzi saw him there and said, all right, I'm going to get it to Taylor Hall, former MVP, and Hall just like, whoop, I missed, and it went out of the zone. So
maybe a shot there was the better idea next time.
I agree with you. He probably should have shot it. He had a chance to shoot and didn't. But a wide open, all alone Taylor Hall behind the net is a safe play to make, and it keeps the puck deep in the zone, and Taylor Hall just whiffed on it. It's the very classic NFL receiver beginning to run with the pass he hasn't caught yet. It was the same exact thing. Taylor Hall, before he was able to corral the puck, started to make the next move, trying to be aggressive, of course, whatever you want to say, but the reality is he missed it, and Ryan Donato couldn't get to it either. The way he rung it around, one of those two should have been able to stop it. And I think Taylor Hall, look, if Bertuzzi was too conservative there, fine, join the club. It's been happening all year. But he had a look. It wasn't perfect, but yes, they should start taking shots when they have them, but also Taylor Hall should be able to grab a puck behind the net.
Yeah, agreed, but it's Connor Hellebuck. You're not going to score. You're not going to get a perfect shot to beat him. You need a dirty goal. I mean, look at the 2 goals they scored on him from the defenseman. I mean, Martinez's was a great shot, but, Vlasic on the power play through traffic. You're down a goal. Put the puck on the net. You never know what happens. That's my biggest problem with that is shoot the puck. Put it towards the middle of the ice. Stop ringing it around the boards. That hasn't worked all season. Why is it all of a sudden going to work in game 27? Try something different.
I'm up for that. What would you try differently, lineup-wise? I mean...
Well, here's the problem. It's still the same crummy lineup. Like, it's still the same guys. Anders Sorensen isn't walking in with a magic wand and all of a sudden making Philip Kurashev a 60-point guy. Like, it's just not there right now. What I would do is the way it's set up now is fine. There's one change I would make, and that would be Kurashev. I don't want him on the top line right now. I know Sorensen this morning was, he had some, they had some magic with Bedard last year. We want to try and rekindle it. I just don't think that's happening anytime soon. So what I would do is I would leave everything exactly where it is, except I swap Kurashev and Lucas Reichel. Maybe playing with Craig Smith and Pat Maroon will unlock Philip Kurashev's offense like it did for Lucas Reichel. And now you have a guy on that top line with Tavo and Bedard, who the 2-1-2 system really is made for a guy like Lucas Reichel that can just skate right up the ice, reward him for playing well, get Connor Bedard a guy on the ice that can match him speed-wise, and Tavo can be that one in the 2-1-2 and play higher up in the zone. Let those guys skate up the ice. Let those guys, try and create offense. That's all they can do right there. Like, otherwise, the other lines are fine. That second line with Donato, Hall, and Bertuzzi was pretty good today. They were like the best puck possession team. And, the third line, you're not messing with that third line. It's your defensive shutdown line. And then, let Kurashev see if playing that simple fourth line style with Maroon and Smith does the same to Kurashev as it did with Reichel. It's worth a shot. Let it go for 2-3 games. You could always go back if it doesn't work.
And if it does, if they do make that change and it does work out, then I want to see the flowers for Kyle Davidson for signing Pat Maroon and Craig Smith and unlocking Lucas Reichel and Philip Kurashev.
On ice development coaches.
Yeah, I still have my thing with that would be worth a try, so long as Lucas Reichel doesn't lose the aggressiveness and the speed that he's played with being with Pat Maroon and Craig Smith, because he is looked at as be the playmaker, be the offensive guy, be the guy that's going to drive the scoring chances for that line. Don't lose that mentality just because now you're paired with Connor Bedard. I think in the past, pairing Bedard with Reichel hasn't really worked out in the times it's been tried, because I think in those situations, Reichel's kind of turtling and deferring to Bedard, being that, he's the more skilled guy, the more of the focal point offensively. But Reichel still has the ability to be that kind of player, where he is a focal point offensively, is a guy that can create and drive some offensive chances. So if they were to make that kind of change, put those two guys together again, I want to see Reichel's I'm playing with Craig Smith and Pat Maroon mentality translate to that. Don't change anything about the way that you're playing. Continue to play aggressive, play with speed, play with confidence. And if you do that alongside Connor Bedard, that's going to, you would think that would elevate Bedard's game, because if someone is being aggressive with offensive chances, they have to take attention away from Bedard on the defensive side, because if you say, okay, we're going to take away Bedard and let Lucas Reichel beat us. Well, if you beat him a few times, they're going to have to start paying attention to you. That could open up the ice for Bedard. And if Tavo's on that line, that could open up some offensive chances for Tavo. So if they make that kind of change, I'm on board, so long as Lucas continues to play the way that he's been playing.
Well, I like that idea of just swapping those two, because look, I have putting Joey Anderson back in the lineup does nothing for me. Is he going to win some board battles and be more defensively reliable? Yes. At this point, I don't care. I don't give a crap about defense anymore. Start putting pucks in nets. Okay, so Kurashev, fourth line center, bring Reichel up, winger, center, whatever you want to do with him, and give him some time with Bedard. And I know it hasn't worked in the past, but he's had the most success of his career under Sorensen. Yes, it was in Rockford, but Sorensen and Reichel click. They get each other. They work well together. Yeah. Like I think that Sorensen has a way to communicate with Reichel that maybe Richardson didn't, because the personal relationship is different, right? Whereas Lucas was, forward number 12 to Luke Richardson. Mm-hmm. He was forward number 1 to Sorensen for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think that relationship is different. He's got a different level of trust, a different level of insight, a different level of communication with Sorensen. So hopefully Sorensen can get that message through to Reichel to say exactly what you're doing on a fourth line. We want to see the same thing on the top line. Be aggressive, use your speed, distribute the puck, shoot pucks when you have the chance. That's what we want to see. We're giving you this opportunity. We're handing it to you right now. Take it.
Yeah.
Take this job that you've been trying to earn for the last 4 years and grab it and never let it go. Because we're giving you this chance. Because right now, if they're not going to call up Nazar and they're not going to call up Doc, Reichel is at this point, your second best offensive player.
Yeah,
like
pound for pound.
Which is not great. It's not what you had planned, but I don't know. Tavo, Reichel, and Bedard. I saw someone in the chat say you're not going to win a single board battle. I know, but maybe you
they're not winning board battles with Kurashev.
Right, like maybe
what
you
board
enter
battles did they win today?
Yeah, now you enter the zone with possession, and you keep the possession because you're fast and you can pass, and the monies are on the passes are on the money. It's just a different look. So I'm up for it, and I am getting to the point now too where it's like I don't care about the safe or conservative lineup. Joe Anderson does nothing for me, and you need to figure out what Kurashev is. Is he the guy he was last year, or is he the guy he is this year? The reality is probably somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't keep throwing him out on the top line because he was good with Connor last year.
It's the same thing we were doing with Athanasiou and Kurashev and Bedard or Reichel. It was just like, yeah, well, for 12 games 2 years ago they played well, so let's try and rekindle that. Like it just, yeah, I don't think you can go back to that, magic, quote unquote, fix all, because it's not there.
No, it's certainly not.
Last year is over, and I was going to mention before you did, Jay, just to don't underestimate the previous working relationship with Sorensen and Reichel. There's trust there between the two, and I don't think there was ever trust, at least to that level, with Richardson and Reichel. And here's my thing: if you're going to put Reichel up there, let it go for 4, 5, 6, 7 games, whatever it takes. Don't do what you did in the past. Well, it didn't work for a period, so let's switch it. Like, let the kid go up there and try it, because nothing else has worked consistently this year. So what's the point? Let's just try what we haven't tried for a long period of time. Switch out Kurashev and Reichel and just let those 4 lines be your lines for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, and then reevaluate it.
All right, couple super chats we want to get to before we do Who's Your Hawk and the 4-star of the game. Connor Del Rio says Blackhawks are worried about stunting Niezar's growth. He put the tilde on the end, so I said it that way. Calling him up, but leaving him down is stunting Bedard's growth. Who's more important? I mean,
they're both important.
They're both very important. And I think this concept of stunting Frank Niezar's growth is laughable, because even if you went back to the beginning of the season, the thought was like, Christmas, New Year's for Niezar, right? Like, that's probably if he performs the way they think.
If he's doing exactly what he's doing right now.
But I would say, though, he's probably doing better than they expected. Right? Would you agree with that, Greg? That he's doing more?
Absolutely.
Like
nobody expected 24 points in 19 games.
So is 20 days going to be the make or break difference in Frank Niezar's development? That's ridiculous. Of course not.
Well, yeah, and I get a lot of PTSD when it comes to prospects. I get a lot in replies about, well, look what Stan Bowman did with these guys. We can't do this with Niezar. It's not. First of all, this isn't Stan Bowman anymore. This isn't calling up Kirby Dach after 2 games in the AHL and on a first of all, making him play in the NHL at 19 when he clearly wasn't ready. It's not the same. And every player is different. There is no handbook saying in order to be a successful NHL player, you must play X amount of games in the AHL before even playing in the NHL. That doesn't exist. These aren't cars that are all built the same and you just swap out the same parts for the same parts. Every player is different, and Niezar looks really darn good. And if he comes up here and he plays 2 games and he looks over his head like he did in the preseason, yes, send him back. It doesn't hurt anything. Frank Niezar is not a guy you worry about crushing his confidence, because if he got crushed confidence by having to play in Rockford, he wouldn't have 24 points in 19 games.
And now a $10 super chat from Edward First says, could the NHL get rid of the third period Why is it even there anyway? Hockey game should end in the second. I think
agree.
the Hawks would apply for that rule
agree.
change.
Well,
Yeah.
the Islanders would be on board for that too. And if Lou Lamoriello can't get something passed, it's never going to happen.
It's a good point. All right, before we get to Who's Your Hawk and the 4-star of the game, I want to remind everybody about our upcoming CHGO Top Shelf event. It is the Sweet Takeover, January 20th, Chicago versus Carolina. You're going to join us in the suite at the United Center. The three of us are going to hang out there all night. Food and drink will be there. You're going to get a swag bag that includes a CHGO t-shirt and a signed puck from Alex Vlasic. It's going to be an awesome time in the suite. Again, it's a top shelf event, so a little bit of a bigger ticket, but when you kind of do the math and crunch the numbers and you think, well, if it's all you can eat and all you can drink and I get a signed puck and a shirt and ticket to the game and get to hang out and all this stuff, like, it's a pretty damn good deal.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a diehard, you're going to save $80 per ticket. So jump on that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. And don't forget, also top shelf events, Bulls. They got one too for Derrick Rose night on January 4th.
Yep.
So yeah, take a look at that one if you got a Bulls fan in your life, a Derrick Rose fan in your life that want to go and hang out with the Bulls crew and see that night. It's going to be an awesome night at the UC for Derrick Rose. Check that one out as well. Again, same place you found our event, you'll find that event too. And speaking of events, Monday's game is a watch along. We were going to be right.
Yeah.
I was reacting to that. Hooray. Yes. Just want to make sure I got the plans right. Yes. Monday night's game will be a watch along right here on the CHGO Sports YouTube page. The three of us jokers are going to watch the Rangers, and I can't wait to hear all the things Greg will have to say about the Rangers on Monday night during the watch along. It's going to be a lot of fun, so don't miss that. You can watch us watch the game.
I will spend 3 hours crapping on a disgraceful organization that trades their captains in season every time. Just disgusting, horrible, terrible organization. Artemi Panarin, we should save him.
Yeah, he needs rescuing.
That'd be nice.
He needs
Play
rescuing.
him with Bedard.
All right, who's the winner of Who's Your Hawk today, Greg?
Jay got it. Despite Alex Vlasic being a -3, you somehow still won with 3 whopping points.
That play goal was pretty beneficial.
Well, my thought
Yes, it
was Sorensen said defensemen will be more aggressive. 2 defensemen scored for the Hawks today. So that was my logic. I didn't just go with the gut today. I tried to actually think it out a little bit, and it paid off.
CHGO bump is real.
That's right.
The good news is, at least for us, Jay, that we both gained on Mario today. So that's we're chipping away,
Yeah.
trying to make the scoreboard for the season totals a little closer.
Take that.
Ooh,
Jerk.
shaking in my boots.
This whole season is going to come down to whoever gets that just weird 24-point night. It's going to happen. One
Someone's
guy's
gonna-
going to get that.
Someone's
One
going to
guy's gonna get that.
pick.
Yeah. Someone's going to get that Pat Maroon hat trick night right, and it's going
Someone have
to
to
be
pick
the
Pat Maroon.
Has he
championship.
been chosen? I don't think he's been chosen yet.
Maybe once or twice.
I'll have to look. I have all of our stats. I can actually come up with
Screw it.
stats.
I'm taking
on
him
how
Monday.
people do it.
Pat Maroon's
Do
my
it.
guy.
There you go.
Do it.
Pat Maroon's my guy. All right, and the 4-star of the game, Sarah, who is the winner?
Da, 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 da.
Alec Martinez is the 4-star of the game with a goal and blocking a puck with his face.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's not out too long. He also, I got to say, not that I'm a fashionista like our Patrick Norton, but killed it with the pregame look. Came in with the glasses, had kind of like a, I don't know how you describe that sweater, like a collarless button-down sweater open.
Oh,
He had a
Like a
Sherlock
cardigan?
Holmes look going
Yeah,
on.
like a Peaky Blinders kind of a thing going on,
nice.
but without it being like too on the nose. Good look for Alec Martinez. Like the glasses, so he wins for many, many things.
Nice.
All right, Greg, nuggets or tidbits?
Real quick, if you're somebody who wants to see somebody up from Rockford, today was a good day for that campaign. Blackhawks had 14 shots on goal and 7 from their forwards. 7 shots on goal in 60 minutes of hockey from your forwards.
That's half.
That's
Not
half.
good.
It's not good.
Which isn't good.
Yes, you want your defensemen to be more active, but you want the forwards to be active too. So that's a good step. And you were talking about Joey Anderson, Jay. Joey Anderson was like Luke Richardson's favorite player in the world. He might be heading back to Rockford soon.
Oh, no. All right, we'll talk to you Monday.
All right, boys. We'll see you then.
All right, that's Greg Boysen, CHGO, right there at the United Center.
Well, now what?
Well,
Now
before
what
we
do
go,
look forward to?
we want to remind you about the Die Hard program. We told you about the takeovers, but if you want to save on those takeovers, become a diehard at allchgo.com. You get a free shirt when you sign up. Access all of our great written content, including the Rebuild Report, Pigs and Puck, Morning Chirps, Blackhawks Beat, all the great stuff we do, and that applies to all the beats around all of CHGO. You also get 20% off merch at the store.allcitynetwork.com, so you can get some DNVR stuff, some PHNX stuff, some CHGO stuff, and save the 20% across the board. It's a great deal, and you save on all of our events, of course, our top shelf takeovers, our regular takeovers, tailgates, all that stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come join us. Come join the, like 800, 900 new diehards we got over the last week.
Oh, yeah. A lot of new diehards.
Yeah.
Almost 2,000 across the All City network.
Yeah. So come join the fun.
Awesome.
You'll also get the Discord, access to our Discord.
Yep.
So it's
a fun place
It's
to
a great
be.
place to be. So do it. Hit the like button on your way out. We'll talk to you Monday during the game for a watch along on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.